What's up, guys? It's me, Daniel from Path's Path Predictor. Let's get right into what we're seeing here. A major hurricane, Rafael, is currently on the cusp of making landfall in Cuba. This storm has rapidly intensified over the last 24 hours into a major hurricane with sustained winds of 115 miles per hour. We're going to be here for the next hour, 2 hours or so during this landfall coverage. It's just me today. We're gonna be going with this. If you guys have any questions, comments, anything at all, please feel free to put that in the chat. But I'm here. I'm doing the stream today. Pat's too busy to come on air, and overall, it's a little bit of an interesting time. So I'll just be doing it today. But how's everybody doing? We're having the eye wall come ashore now. It's definitely making its way on shore now. Let's see. It's probably made landfall in some of these outer islands of Cuba, but let's see here. We're gonna be dealing with the main eye wall coming ashore here, which is the eye wall up here. There's not really, well, this also could be because currently we don't have a radar site in Cuba. The one is down, the closest is down in Cuba, maybe due to the winds. But currently our closest is Key West, and the one that's widely available on pretty much any service. So we're going to be watching this northern eye wall. Last time Recon went in, let me pull that up. Where's Recon going in now? Huh. That's an interesting plane. What's that doing? Anyway, the last time they went in, it showed wind speeds confirming its major hurricane status, which was this one, 98 knots, which correlates to 112 miles per hour. They have to even it out, so it does make 115 in the even out. But that's 112 mile per hour sustained. If we jump over to satellite loop here, guys, there's been a bit of a covering in the eye. So this is probably due to the interaction of mountainous terrain here, of closing of the eye, or it's going under its own eye wall replacement cycle as it's coming ashore. Either way, it's not gonna matter. This storm is under hot water. It's gonna keep sustaining itself even if it doesn't have an eye. So it's going to be an interesting ordeal here. So we're gonna keep watching this as time goes on here. The main center is a little hard to see here, but you can see a rough spin right in, well, that's a little big. Right in this area here is where the center is, and if we jump back to radar, that pretty much confirms it. There's your eye wall right here. So yeah. Last stream of Cuba hasn't hit yet. It's not made landfall yet, but the eye wall is coming ashore. Yeah, it's gonna take a little bit more time for it to make official landfall, but it's close. It's very close at this point. The islands just offshore have made some landfalls. Yes. But we are continuing to watch this. I am going to see if What's it force? What do you mean by that? If you're talking hurricane force, it's category 3, 115. Winds, yeah, 115 miles per hour. So that's the current wind speed of that. So we're it's a moderate hurricane. No one actually expected it to get this high, but I kind of had a feeling it was gonna get a low end 3. But my current my current prediction was like 105, 110. So I was close. Let's see. Hurricane Rafael, watch. The main thing I would say, yeah, I mean, there's going to be wind damage, there's going to be storm surge, there's going to be flooding, landslides. It's moving at a decent clip to the point where it's going to be yeah, it's going to be pretty bad and rough for Cuba, but it's definitely not the worst they've ever seen. But you know, it's bad enough. It's not good either way. Here's a 3D scan of this. We are approaching landfall at this rate. As we get closer to landfall here, we are also seeing the due to this eye wall being filled in, it seems to be a replacement cycle. The size is definitely expanding. That could also be due to some interaction with wind shear, which is definitely going to start ramping up. How high will the waves be? Well, I can give you a rough estimate on that. Let's see here. How high will these waves be? Let's see. I'm just checking on windy.com quick. We're looking at 12 to probably like 15-foot waves. On the storm's surge side, for the most part. Let's see. I'm just trying to see also what our temps are for this region, as well as we pushing in for landfall. Actually, not as warm as I thought. It was over warmer water earlier. As it's approaching, actually, it could. Well, it's just. That's a toughie. It's not as actually hot as I thought. It's over 81 degree water. Which is warm enough for tropical development, but not the hottest in the basin. It was over 84 earlier, if not 85. As we enter the Gulf, it's going to get over 84, 83, and then kind of fiddle out. And actually, there are some parts of the Gulf that are dipping into the high 70s now. It's that time of year where the water temperatures are definitely cooling. The part that this storm's going to track over, however, it will be over the 80-degree waters, but unfortunately, it won't matter on the sea surface temperatures because we have brutal wind shear in store for this storm. Try saying that fast. Where, like, Tristan, based off your stuff, tell me what the winds of wind shear we're going to be experiencing on that. I forget. Currently, the storm is it's moving into the neutral phase of wind shear, and it's already the edges of the storm are going into the unfavorable amount. where we start seeing like 30 knots of wind shear. So definitely interesting. We're starting to get this back little eye structure, but I don't know if that's necessarily the eye, because the eye appears that might just be the more inner core of the storm. The eye itself, or what's left of it at this point, is right in here. That would be based off past stuff. If we go back, let's see, 50 frames, give or take, you see the eye, doing its thing, but then it starts like you only have this very northern portion of the eye now. There's no real thing, so I'm wondering if it's expanding off into this larger portion. The shear itself, I've been monitoring the shear. It's definitely interesting, especially on water vapor. But there's no way it's going away. At this time of year, and what I've been seeing for the next few days, the shear in the Atlantic is relatively hostile at this point in the time of year. There are little pockets in the main development region that are favorable from time to time, but right now there's a lot of shear all over the place. Not a lot of wiggle room for development. And matter of fact, where that other disturbance is, that's over off in this area over here, the wind shear is still unfavorable around 25 knots, if not higher, around 40 knots even, directly over it. 40 to 25 knots is a big gap, so yeah, voice low, interesting. Okay. Yeah, all the time. I always have audio issues, but doesn't matter. It's probably when I move my head away from the mic, because my mic is very one direction sided. So we are looking at that, and then wind waves. Let's see. Yeah, around 12 foot waves, but surge, I have absolutely no idea what that will be. Because we don't really have that. Tristan, could you try to find storm surge mounts for this storm? That would be helpful. Either way, the storm is progressing inland. Are we getting another recon in? I don't know. I don't think we will get one in time. Yeah, no. Done with recon. It's a steel deal. It might be weakening as we are speaking here. Due to the mountain interaction, and also shear slowly getting stronger to its north, which is going to slowly hinder its development. And actually, that might be why it's having some issues. I mean, like, let's look at the last 30 frames of this. Go. Let me turn off the recon, so we can see. So we had an eye, and then it kind of fizzled out. And what I'm actually realizing is that the whole side where most of the shear will be, it seems to have a very definitive line where it's having a lot of issues. Everything that's off to this side is shearing winds, which with a storm like this that's about to go over mountains, it begs the question that if this thing will be able to hold itself enough together for some time. Yes, once it reemerges, the thing will be able to re-strengthen a little bit, enough to sustain, but does it hold its main structure together forever? Well, it's obviously not going to hold forever, but you know what I mean. Hold it for the time being. There's definitely lower mountain levels over on this portion, but there are still some mountain terrain. Even with a short landfall, with sheer pummeling it from one side could be pretty detrimental. If I could even pronounce the word correctly. What is this weird spot? There's a lot of spots in here that are weakening on convection. Radar, let's see. I mean, I think the eye is just expanding at this point. Yeah, actually, the more you say that, Tristan, let's check velocity. See if we can see anything. I don't. Most of them are water spouts. We have a few areas of couplets over here, but they're gonna stay offshore. There aren't really anything towards the Florida Keys. I mean, there's a few I see here, but all of them are gonna be way offshore for both Cuba and the Florida Keys for the most part right now. Let's see, we are approaching the hour here, and this thing is slowly moving in. The Rafael is definitely nudging. It's made landfall on a few islands, so let's see what we are continuing with here. We will have. I'm just having a gander right now at different loops and stuff, because it does appear that the convection's really like fading in areas. It's definitely gotten worse than it was not too long ago. Those minus 80 cloud tops, if not a little cooler than that, have faded away, and max I'm seeing right now might be like 75, negative 75. See, there's new convection blasts to the north, but not really anything dramatic around the center of this storm. We'll have to keep an eye, but it's also the friction of land interaction, and it's going over land as we speak. So we'll have to keep a good eye on it. But for the most part, we are looking at seconds. We're dipping into probably now the 25 shear level, hitting the northern end of this storm, which is definitely going to be disrupting the outflow a little. Right now, I think it might be fine, but there's definitely, it's off balance on one side than the other. It's definitely not so symmetrical. The storm is pretty much fighting the whole west side, which these winds are going to be not going with the way that the storm is rotating, which means, well, the thunderstorms and all the convection is going to be shifted off towards the east. And it's already looks, if you look at infrared, looks like it's already somewhat taking effect, kind of, at least on the northern portion. getting smushed a little bit now. But we're going to see here. I mean, we don't. The real issue is that we are not really getting the true reports like we do in the U.S. compared to Cuba. I will see if there's anything major happening on social media. Right now. Let's see. That's saying if I can even find it. Here, lay this stuff here. Also, models are going all stir crazy right now. With what this storm is going to, where it's gonna go, because it's all over the place. As of right now, we're looking at, like, you know, we have Cat 3 right now, but where there's a ginormous circle of uncertainty. There are two main paths that this thing can take. Well, maybe three, but models get a little confused right as we hit around this point, which is, when is that? The 8th. So 2 days away. That's when it starts interacting with the main shear severely. And that's where the major weakening trend begins. So you're going to have shearing winds becoming from the west. We already know that. This pretty much this whole area is going to be having shearing winds. But depending on the storm's motion, cone being updated, it's being shifted a little bit more north. But the question is, does it take a turn to the east ish? Does it take a dive towards the south, or does it go straight ahead and kind of just stall here? Because some models just show it loop-de-loop. There's also the models, and also keep in mind, if it takes the turn, it will kind of stall out here for a little bit and then kind of like drift off. It's a little funny. There's only like one model that shows it kind of going into that, but extremely weak. Now the models that show it dip south, on the other hand, that's a little harder, because some of them show it, you know, recurving back towards Cuba. Okay, models. And then others, you know, show it just kind of go directly south. So it's a guessing game at this point. And whatever track it takes, to be honest, it will pretty much it will pretty much vary its strength a little bit. I wouldn't say it's gonna be the worst thing ever, though. Max is like, oh, you're gonna have a weekend hurricane potentially. Ooh. The Florida Keys right now are definitely actually experiencing overtopping, believe it or not, which is, I find, crazy. But to be fair, the Florida itself is barely above sea level most of the time, so am I that surprised? Am I really that surprised? And that's via Hurricane Chaser Chase, my buddy Chase. So yeah, he's out there in the Florida Keys, pretty much as close as he can get to the storm while he's out there chasing. The storm is overtopping the seawall over there. and it will get a little closer, so we'll have to keep an eye on the Florida Keys. But they're in a tropical storm watch ish warning, so say ish warning because not really confirmed yet, but let's see. What else? I'm just trying to see if there's anything really major that people are talking about with this storm. Yeah, it's definitely like when you look at the loop, it's definitely being smushed off to one side right now. Slowly. I mean, like, also ahead of it is major dry air, and then major shear levels. So it's gonna have a very tough time very soon. Oh, yeah, we have no idea. I'm just having a gander of what we can see. There's not much on this storm right now. By the way, rainfall totals we should probably get to. Rainfall totals, what are we looking at? Right on the tip, I can barely read that. That looks like 12, 12 to 16, I think, inches, of rain falling, pretty much in, let's see, this kind of area, which makes sense actually. But the overall rain total for most of the dead center is going to be 8 to 12 and then 6 to 8. But majority of the inner core section will be 4 to 6, which doesn't sound like a lot, but then you factor some mountain terrain in. It can get ugly pretty quick. And there's still also another thing to mention, that Cuba is still recovering from past storms as well. So it's already pretty dire. They're having a hunger situation over there, so it's already going to be pretty bad. Then add the winds onto that, which no one's standing out in 115 miles per hour, gusts up to 140. There, I mean, if the storm was doing better, it could have gone to 120. But yeah, at this point, it's probably only gonna get weaker from here. So, looking at the forecast track, we're having a turn, and then whatever happens over here, I don't know. We're gonna see some sustaining at max, nothing back to a major hurricane status. We're actually coming up on what appears to be, the main area of Cuba that it was in the eye wall on the coastline is in the eye, or what is left of this compart. It's a larger compart right now. But we're making our way, or slowly nudging our way toward landfall. Landfall will be here shortly, guys. We're approaching it. It's a little hard to tell what this storm's doing, mainly because of that eye wall appears to be dissipating a little bit. More excuse me. Then more than a little bit, it's it's pretty much fully gone on one side. So yeah, it's a question of what happens from here. And once we get confirmation that a landfall has transpired, or we're pretty certain that has, I will let you know. But until then, we are a waiting game, just waiting for something to happen. Any questions, comments, or concerns will be get to the storm before the landfall. If they yeah, if they can't get in to the main center, they can look at the outer stuff. Let's see where that is. Yeah. It's just off the coast of Florida. We'll see how that goes, but they're gonna be making their way over shortly. We're gonna have to watch this closely. I'm gonna go back over to satellite. Actually, I'm going to go over here and really emphasize the main issue at play. You know, we can see the storm a little bit. This is maybe not the best. Not really a good angle. It doesn't really show the area that great. Not necessarily the best. Mid-level. I mean, kind of. I mean, you can see the shear. You can already see the shear on this side. This is definitely not high res or anything, but you definitely see it. The main development region. We also have this cluster. All of this is in major shear all over the place, but we'll keep an eye on it. The satellites. We're going to. Where is the which one is it? Aha. Let's look at this. Actually, let's look at our satellite loop here. Let it load. But here's the visible. It's definitely lopsided. And we're approaching the nighttime hours slowly, so we're fading on the visible satellite here, but it is becoming more and more apparent that, you know, like, we're a normal the normal banding that would protect the more inner core of the system is really non-existent on the western facing side. It's low-level clouds circulating around it, and dry air is going to be trying to penetrate and shear through the main core, at least trying to get in over the next little while here. The next 48 hours, the storm will be having major difficulty. Which the main question is, how does the storm look once it reemerges over water, and will it get back together correctly? Because we've seen in the past that sometimes storms do not like redeveloping the second they go over warm water. I mean, like, Beryl was a good example of that. Once it went over the Yucatan, everybody expected it to become strong again, but it kind of failed a little bit. Now, again, Beryl kind of sat there for a while overlands in comparison to this little small sliver, but still some of this is dealing with some mountainous terrain off towards the east. Will it tear the storm fully to pieces? No, but it's still a land interaction nonetheless. The storm is definitely experiencing multiple issues. First, everything is being interfered by wind shear, dry air. There's non-existent symmetrical, it being symmetrical on the western side. We're continuing to watch, the overall issues with the storm. The landfall is occurring. The eye wall itself is basically non-existent besides the northeast side. What else could be going wrong for this system? A lot. And convection is kind of showing the downfall of the storm. It's really fading on those colder temps. We're seeing a lot more reds than blacks and whites that are the cooler temps. Like your negative 70s to 80. Negative. All negative, by the way. When I say 80, that is all negative. The cooler the number, the higher the number in the cooler negative range, the better for these storms. The warmer the temperature, the worse. We're starting to see pockets here that are, not necessarily supposed to be, for a healthy storm, supposed to be this warm. I mean, like, just look at the state of compared to the other side that is mostly breathing normally. It's kind of, it looks like a pear, kind of. It's definitely being smushed, more like a potato, but it's not, a circle. It's very oval-like right now of a structure. It's all being smashed together. As I've been saying for the last, 20 minutes. I should stop yapping. But the good thing is the weakening trends might help a little for Cuba, but it won't save them before this landfall. That plane is approaching, by the way. It's definitely getting into slightly stronger winds. We'll be keeping an eye on it. Tropical storm warning, yes. Okay, to confirm that, yes. Peak wind forecast 20 to 30 miles per hour. Winds, wind gusts up to 40. I would say 40 plus. Potential for 39 to 57 mile per hour sustained winds. So, there might be some minor surge, but nothing too bad. Florida can handle this. Yeah, potential for 2 feet of storm surge, which for Florida, yeah, okay. That can cause overtopping, definitely. What else is there to really talk about right now? Because we're kind of in this weird, this always happens. We're always in this weird little situation that right before landfall, we're kind of just waiting to see what happens. And really don't know that much. I mean, like the full eyewall structure is completely pretty much dissipated besides the north side. I think it's mostly the just merging into what is now the probably like the new eye. This whole area might be like the new eye. If that's the case, which probably will be, that means there's not a lot protecting this thing. Either way, there's not a lot protecting this thing. There's a ginormous hole in the side of this thing, of no rainfall. His landfall, hard to tell, honestly, because of this whole ordeal with this eye. I couldn't really tell you, honestly. I mean, the eye structure, if we're counting this whole thing as the new eye, then yes, technically it's about to make landfall. If we're counting this little pocket of where the center was, it's a little dicey. What do you guys think? Is this a whole like eye wall replacement cycle? Well, it has to be. The eye wall replacement cycle must be happening because obviously it's not going to finish correctly. It's going to have issues. I'm just trying to figure out what is going on with this system because it's a disaster. And the storm is losing more convection off towards the west. Ah. I feel like this thing is weakened back down to a Cat 2 at this point. There is no way that this thing is still a Cat 3. Just looking at the structure and what's happened in the center, it does not look appealing. That's just me. I mean, wind shear is already taking its toll on this storm. Like, I mean, we're approaching like the 25 knots of shear. We're already in 20. You know, with a storm degrading like this, even 20 probably could rip this thing apart slowly. Back to satellite. Yeah, we're losing convection on that side. Okay, so for people, you know, joining back, we're like, just to remind you, so we're still a little bit away from landfall here, and we're trying to figure out what's going on in the core here. Appears to have an eye wall replacement happening underway. So this is your center, or what we're trying to figure out as full center. What's happening in there? Because eye wall and stuff seems to kind of dissipated and collapsed and doing things, which we only have this little sliver protecting that main core, which is weakening. So there definitely is a shear element to this, and you know, it's doing something. What else we got here? Let's rewind the frames back to around 200, so we see the most of the timeline here when this thing still had an eye associated. So comes up, has a brief eye show, it collapses, and the convection dissipates. Yeah, it definitely doesn't look healthy. Can this recon hurry up? Can we get supersonic recon? I'm kidding. But definitely not healthy. As healthy as it once was. I think this is a high end, too. Or at least approaching that at this point. Because the whole center is a disaster right now. I mean, it's like, what is left of the original eye structure is... Hold on. Further back. So we had, you know, an eye wall structure, and then it started to fade away. And then fully, like, merge with this more outer band, which appears to be the new eye wall, but I don't want to call that yet, but it appears so. And again, if that's the case, we're gonna have landfall shortly, folks. See if anything else on X is showing anything. There is a few little bits of footage, but we're not really getting anything from Cuba right now because, well, power's out for most of the area. Landfall, okay, landfall. All right. And that looks about right. So that now means that what we're seeing is the eye structure. Okay. So it's definitely is eye wall replacement. It's expanding. Its eye is expanded. Okay. Interesting. Landfall has been confirmed. Okay, so the thing is now officially made landfall. South, southwest of Havana. Yeah. I guess we'll continue coverage probably till like 5:30, give or take. And just kind of look at what's happening. Me continues to rant about everything else. Any other stuff that's coming out on this? Old. Landfall at 115 miles per hour. With a minimal central pressure of 956 millibars. Yep. Yep, in Cuba, the situation is majorly deteriorating. All right, so this is breaking news. Major blackout reported in Cuba after high winds from Hurricane Rafael knocks out power across the country. Local reports. Yes, we know. Landfall has been confirmed. Now we're just waiting for more reports to happen. Um, hmm. We also, during all of this, we also have that typhoon in the West Pac as well. We could talk about that. That's also affecting the northern Philippines. But I think this is a bigger situation. 1 second, everybody. For now, I'm actually gonna keep my face cam off for a little bit. So we're looking at the landfall situation. So it's definitely made landfall. It's still moving in. How much does the storm deteriorate is the real question. Um, Definitely seems to be some parts of it that are fading away. Slowly. Slowly but surely. Again, landfall has been confirmed. We are now just assessing what is going on with the current structure, which seems to be dissipating on the western side due to a mixture of things. But recon is definitely not making it in time. But we'll probably get some data on the outer stuff of the storm. They might be able to get the back eye wall or whatever is left of it. Even then, the storm might be made landfall by that point. Here's a 3D model view of it. Yeah. Definitely interesting. The yeah, you can see that center right in there. Yeah. Satellite loop showing much. I think for now gonna go briefly automated here. I mean, like, there's not much to talk about because we have landfall. We have all that. It's now just a waiting game at this point. So I think we're gonna go automated at least for a little bit. Let me bring up radar scope. Really shows it pretty well. There's your radar scope view. Neat. But the storm has made landfall. So we are going to continue being live, but I think I'm going to cut it for now. I have to take care of a few things. So we're gonna continue automated. So just sit back, relax, and yeah. Thanks for joining me for live coverage today. And continue to be here standing by for any updates. Anyway, I have to take care of my dog now, so see you guys in a little bit.